Put my family first. I connect with the stars and I float away. Tell me you're on the way. Just go straight till you see in heaven, then you call me up. I'm only a couple turns away. Oh, yeah. I'm as young as they come, but my grow up is old. I'm sorry I rap a lot. I grew up the cold. I was raised by a rolling stone. That turned me into a rolling stone. And all you hating niggas need a pole to toe. When I'm supposed to pose up on the totem pole, I'm toe to toe with the devil. I blow the smoke in his face. I got the juice, the bevy. I had to give Noni a taste. Blowing O's and smoking J's. I think I just rolled me a case. I was quick with the come up. I didn't even put my foot on the brakes. Girl, let's get back. Let's connect. Holy oxygen. Take a breath. With my dogs. Pet. Count the gross. Then count the net. I confess I've been talking a little crazy. Me and all my homies. Calling all the shots. Barely calling home. No. Instagram captions. Preach when you tag me. Still go to church and pray to God and let me speak like I have to. Oh yeah.
Y'all were never ready for the nation about to bring. We got that new school with them. Just give it slaughter like a drive-through. Call me the problem, mayday, yo. Them girls gonna look like I'm sensei. J'ai mon fou si tu coupes mon français. We eating the rappers for dinners and entrees, yo. Sleep on the girl tryna wake up. My time on the limit, my squad to infinity. We got them pay cuts. You checking your Insta, he liking my pictures, he stacking on data. Pull yourself together like a zip. He heard the flow and now he gone. Now we swallow when he hear me spit.
Let's connect. Holy oxygen. Take a breath. With my dogs. Fuck a pit. Count the gross. Then count the net. I confess I've been talking a little crazy. Me and all my homies. Calling all the shots. Barely calling home. No. Instagram captions. Preach when you tag me. Still go to church and pray to God and let me speak like I have.
All I wanted was something to lose. Funny how I got it. They made jokes about me in school. Funny how I got him. Till the voice got hoarse, y'all didn't believe it. Funny how you bet it. Now look at a girl like, hey, come here then. Funny how she get it. All the way up and never coming down. Straight out of K1, you better get one that never gets around. Y'all want something different, don't you? Y'all gon' get the piff, I want you. Y'all gon' roll that spliff, I want you. Man, I got here and there to go to. I kill the show in a bit. Throw the bones in a pit. Kill your dogs and your clique. Throw the bones to my pit. I've been blown by the wind and I've been blown by your kin. You get thrown out again while I get thrown. I am king.
Let's get back. Let's connect. Holy oxygen. Take a breath. With my dogs. Fuck a pit. Count the gross. Then count the net. I confess I've been talking a little crazy. Me and all my homies. Calling all the shots. Barely calling home. No. Instagram captions. Preach when you tag me. Still go to church and pray to God and let me speak like I have. Oh yeah.
I could be wrong, but something in your eyes says you got me. Damn, baby, you got me. I gotta look good for you, 'cause deep inside I know that you got me. Damn, baby, you got me. I could be wrong, oh baby, but something in your eyes says you got me. Oh baby, damn baby, you got me. And I gotta look good for you, baby, 'cause deep inside I know that you got me. Oh baby, damn baby, you got me.
Girl, we fell in love when we were young. You wait for me to meet you at the mall. I gave you your first kiss when we were young, but I remember 7 hours on the phone. You always had a smile on your face. You were kind and polite in every way. I never met a lady so warm. That's how I hadn't lost respect in so long. So your daddy took you far away for school. That's how we separated as a couple. We never had a fight when we were lovers. Somehow we understood what we were after. You found me years later on the Instagram. I can't believe you asked if I remembered you. That pretty little girl was a grown woman. We instantly connected like you never left.
I could be wrong, but something in your eyes says you got me. Damn, baby, you got me. And I gotta look good for you, 'cause deep inside I know that you got me. Damn, baby, you got me. I could be wrong, oh baby, but something in your eyes says you got me. Oh baby, damn, baby, you got me. And I gotta look good for you, baby, 'cause deep inside I know that you got me. Oh baby, damn, baby, you got me.
You said you had a man, but it was over. You met another brother, but he left you. You told me as you cried on the phone, I couldn't let you cry all alone. I made a plan so I could come around. I left my homie worried at the house, 'cause I was also filing for divorce. My wife and I, we couldn't work it out. So you and I decided we were dating. You even introduced me to your children. They would run around when I arrived. I don't remember feeling so alive, but I could feel that something wasn't right. I sent you messages, you don't reply, until the day you told me it was over. Monday, 24 October.
I could be wrong, oh baby, but something in your eyes says you got me. Oh baby, damn, baby, you got me. And I gotta look good for you, baby, 'cause deep inside I know that you got me. Oh baby, damn, baby, you got me.
The only show that brings you the truth from real people on touching issues. The Open Book on K Radio, radio for the people.
The Open Book, giving you the truth and solutions only on K Radio.
Staring at two different views on your window ledge.
Yes, it is the Open Book right here on K Radio, radio for the people. Good morning, and hey, thank you so very much, man, for choosing to spend your morning with us. Really do appreciate it so very, very, very much. Now, our guests today are from a school. Yeah, I mean a school from right around here. I'm even just mumbling over. From around here in Florida and everything else. And it's weird because in the last 2-3 days and everything else, I've just been having a conversation around with people that I studied with and everything else. And I was actually just saying that the other time. There was a big joke, actually. It's a running joke around here in the office and everything else, that I almost became a teacher. I should have been a teacher, whatever it is. You know, I ran away from the teaching fraternity and everything else. But it seems just to be kind of dragging me back. Not pulling, it's dragging me back in one way or another, man. I don't know. But here we are today, man. We have a guest from Royal King's School, the Florida branch, that is. And we're just going to get to find out, you know, what's the school about and everything else, you know. Why should I take my child to that school? Why should you take your child to that school? You know, what is it about Royal King's that just makes it the preferred institution for your child and all those kind of things? I mean, I really like it. They cater for from grade R right up until grade 12, you know, the school community and everything else. So I think, you know, let's get to know what the school is about. With us right here, we have Angelique and I laugh because you know what? We just had a bit of a moment. just now. Oh my word, man! But how you guys doing?
We are fantastic, thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. I'm
Awesome.
okay. I am okay. You know, I mean,
Not as a teacher,
Sure.
but being very active in the ministry. I teach wherever I go, so teaching is in my blood. I haven't studied it as a profession personally. However, it flows in our blood. So should there be a need for me to assist with substitute teaching at Royal Kings, we do that. But I am there for marketing, and whatever else needs to be done, we get it done.
Sure.
We don't allow a job description to limit us on what we do at Royals. We are the brand.
I like what you just said right there. That I mean, in terms of ministry, you mentioned in ministry.
Yes.
There's a question, but we'll leave that for later on. We'll leave that for later.
Bring
just
it
so by
on.
the- just so by the way, I got warned not to be controversial. There's a reason why we're in the back room.
Okay.
There is a reason why we are in the back room. It's because here.
Let's get down to
we
the
must
nitty.
behave.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty then.
Why
Alright.
not?
Royal King School. One. Before you give us a little bit about the school. Is it a private school?
Yes, it's a private institution.
Sure.
It's not subsidized by the Department of Education, but we are registered with the Department of Education, and that's very important to note
Yeah.
because I know there's quite a number of fly-by-night schools. It's very important to note that we are registered with the Department of Gauteng, the Education Department of Gauteng. We are also accredited by Umalusi.
Oh, yeah?
And we are also registered with ISASA, which is the Independent Schools Association of South Africa. So we are regulated by specific guidelines.
Okay, so Isasa, Umelusi, as well as the Department of Education,
That is
Gauteng
correct,
Department
yes.
of Education.
Yes.
That's
you guys
true.
do fall under that.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
that is so great. But now, Royal Kings, I mean, where and how does this school start? I mean, whose idea is this whole school?
Well, the man that drives us is someone that is very passionate about teaching. He is actually a qualified accountant. And I tell you,
Yeah.
but he fell in love with teaching. He doesn't have
Sure.
a teaching qualification, but he was exposed to it. And I think he also felt that there was a need for quality education to be provided. I'm not saying that this is not happening with our government schools. That's not what I'm saying.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is he saw that there was a need,
Yeah.
and he's filled the gap. And we initially started very small. We started out with less than 100 students, and this was in 2013. And since then, the school has grown where we've branched out. We've got a high school, which is Royal College.
Sure.
We've got ourselves, which is the combined primary and high school. And then we've started a brand new school in Krugersdorp for 2018. So we've got 3 branches at the moment. And we offer we offer quality education with possibilities, because we don't just focus on the academic growth or development of learners, but we look at the holistic individual. We develop skills. We expose our kids to different things: arts and culture, creativity, academics, as well as athletically challenging them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Actually love that whole physical activity type of situation. Now, when I guess we're talking about Mr. Nelson, who's the CEO of Royal King School.
That's correct.
So he decides to start this whole school. Clearly, there is a need, and there's still a need for good quality, safe education. You know what I mean? I mean, we're looking at the environment that our kids are exposed to in schools and everything else.
Yes.
But I'm so interested, in this whole thing, that from an accounting background, from a financial background, into schools. Maybe that's another conversation with him personally. We need to have this conversation
Yes.
with him. Like, I'm so interested in that whole thing. The first branch of the school, I know you've got one here in Florida, and you said you just opened one
Yes,
in
we've got
Krugersdorp.
Yes, 2 branches in Florida,
Sure.
which is Royal College, where we initially started,
Yeah.
and they based at 23 Goldman Street.
Okay.
The school grew at a tremendous pace, and we needed a bigger environment. Also, we picked up that where we were situated was not conducive to our younger kiddies. And that's why we've left our high school where they're at. And we sort of moved up to number 36 Goldman Street, which was initially just a private school, a primary school. So we catered for grade R up to grade 7. So our grade 7s then moved into grade 8, and that's why we've combined primary and high school.
Can we just talk ages here quickly? I was having a bit of a big fat conversation at home about this whole thing. Grade R. What's the age?
Okay. So let's start with grade 1. Grade 1, you need to be 7, right? So the reason why I'm starting there is because the Department of Education works on a 7+ system.
Yeah.
So grade R, you have to be 5 turning 6. Okay.
In that year.
In that year. 5 turning 6 within the first 6 months of the year. I know that
yes. That's where the catch is. That's where the catch is.
First 6 months of the year.
Sure.
Okay, so that's January to June. So 5 turning 6, grade 1, you would then be 6 turning 7, or you would already be 7, say January type thing. Yes.
Okay, so 6 turning 7 for grade 1, and this is, your child is 6 years old, and the latest that they will turn 7 within that year is the end of June, basically. Right?
Yes.
If your child turns 7 later on in the year, you'd kind of hold them back?
Yes. Look, because we are a private institution, we are allowed to, I'm not going to say that there's exceptions to the rule, but I'm going to make an example. We offer baseline assessments with our admissions process. So that baseline assessment allows us to not only we use it as a support mechanism. So we check what the learner's strengths and weaknesses are. And there's also some psychological tests in there to see whether or not this learner is at a mature level to actually deal with the grade and what is going to be taught throughout that curriculum. Okay, so you need to have a look at all of those things. But yes, we try as much as possible to stick to that guideline, because you don't want to put a learner in a situation where psychologically it's going to affect them if you have to hold them back.
I got you on that one. I got you. Now, here's the other thing that I just needed, I think, clarity. Maybe you guys can just clarify it for us here, you know, in terms of why do we have that whole requirement that, I mean, your child has to be 5 turning 6 or 6 turning 7 within the first 6 months of the year. I mean, someone might just turn around and say that, look, I have a 6-year-old, his birthday is in October, but he's a bright little man. I mean, this is me as a parent. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
My child is bright.
Yes.
Don't come in. My child is bright. I get the bias lumped.
Yes.
I mean, what's the reason for that? And I know you guys have your assessments that you have, but I mean, holistically, reason?
Mr. Kinnear, you've got a daughter.
Yes.
Right. So, she's what?
She's 4 years old now.
She's
She'll
4
be
years.
5 next year.
How intelligent or how bright do you think she is? Do you think she's ready to go into grade 1?
Where
because she's been in pre-primary school, correct?
Yes, that's where she currently is. And as per the principal of her current school, she's actually been exposed now to the workload or the curriculum of a grade 1 student.
Of a grade 1 student.
That's in your mainstream schools, the curriculum that they deal with.
Okay. In your personal opinion, do you think that she is ready?
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
Her dealing with the work and how she gets through the work, the report that we have received from the principal, we have evaluated that report and her work activities in class and so on.
Okay.
So
I actually had a conversation with Mrs. Kinnear yesterday.
Okay.
About her improvement and her previous preschool and that type of thing. And Mom mentioned something very important. Baby gets really bored really easily. Okay. So, in grade 1, there's a lot more structure. So, if you are allocated an hour for that task, for that hour you need to do that task. Whereas in grade 1, in grade R, there's a lot more play involved. And there's quite a number of activities that they go throughout the day to keep them entertained. And they've got their little nap times and their different mannerisms of play to learn, and that helps them and it structures their day. So when they do their readiness assessment at the end of the year, we also evaluate that maturity level as to, are they ready to sit down at a desk for 1 hour and focus on the task at hand and getting that done.
From a parent's perspective, if I may,
Sure.
should she then, according to the assessment at the end of her grade or year, speaking from a parent's perspective, not be ready according to the assessment? What gets done then? What will Royal King's School do then?
We need to first of look at the areas that we need to focus on, because then we need to structure learning or teaching, rather, not the learning, but rather the teaching in a way that we can accommodate her.
Okay.
Okay, so sometimes teacher might need to give her extra work because she's really quick.
Sure.
So guess what? We're going to give you a bit of extra work to do to keep you busy so that you don't distract the other kiddies in the class.
And at the same time grow as well.
Exactly.
All right, fantastic.
So the other thing there is, with that baseline assessment, when we pick up on what the strengths are, we don't limit the child to that strengths. We try and have them excel. Benchmarks are there for a reason, but we push learners to excel.
Fantastic.
Tell me quickly, classroom sizes. I'm a stickler for that, and
Yes.
and I say that because, as I had mentioned earlier on, I come from a teaching background, where my mother, my cousin, like everybody around me, I got friends who are teachers and everything else. I've seen their classroom sizes. I've been exposed to classrooms as well. 35 plus. It's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous in terms of that. And I've often just said that, and I still do say it right now, and I'm not going to shy away from it. I feel that the government has got to do more to ensure that, because it's both for the kids and the teacher. If I got to deal with 40 kids in one class and you're giving me 5 classrooms, come on now, let's do the maths right here.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? At some point, I'm going to get irritable. I'm not going to give my full, I'm not going to give 100% to every single child.
Yes.
So what are the classroom sizes at Royal Kings?
We keep it to a minimum of 30. Okay, and we don't go over that.
A maximum.
A maximum. Sorry about that.
Maximum.
A maximum of 30.
Yeah.
Our smallest class at the moment is 17 learners, which is our grade 7 class. Our biggest class at the moment is our grade 3 class, and they are 32.
Sure.
Okay, but we do have additional assistance. So in the event when assessments are happening, especially in that grade 3 class, because the child is now moving from foundation phase into intermediate phase.
Yeah.
So during assessments, and especially term 3, we have an assistant teacher there to assist that teacher with marking assessments, assisting the learners and that type of thing. And we practice inclusive learning. Okay, and it ties in with our baseline assessment. I know when we were in school, we always had grade 1B and grade 1A, and we're not, that move they pulled on us. And we shy away from that. We don't do that. Don't laugh, pups. You know what I'm referring to.
Who was in the A class?
I was in the A class all the time. So we shy away from that, and we practice inclusive learning. So no child is excluded, and where we see that additional assistance is required. Look, we are a mainstream school, but we do offer remedial assistance.
Oh, okay, love that.
And that's the reason why we do that baseline assessment. It gives us an idea of where the child is at throughout the year. It's not just the report and the assessment that helps us determine how the learner is doing, but the relationships that educators have with learners as well helps us pick up on whether or not this is a psychological thing, this is an emotional thing that we need to focus on, or there's just a behavioral issue that we need to focus on. So that inclusive learning is not just ensuring that everybody is included, but we try and evaluate learners throughout the year to assist.
I think also part of the reason why I look at teachers and, I salute teachers on a daily is because what they need to deal with. Like teachers today, you're a nurse, you're a mother, you're a father, you're a counselor, you're a pastor.
Yes.
You're all these things. And, hey, by the way, I still need to ensure that you are learning.
Yes.
Goodness. Anyway, 30 max.
Yes.
I'm liking that, but now in terms of the amount of classes that an educator would be allocated to, what's the maximum amount of classes that the educator will be allocated?
Look, if we get down to numbers, I think it's something like 45 hours per week or per month or something like that the educators, I'm not very clued up on the curriculum or the timetables, but there is a certain amount of hours that is allocated to each subject.
Okay.
Okay, so depending on the subject and depending on the amount of classrooms that we have, look, we are very flexible. So the reason why the marketing team is there is so that we are able to project what our numbers are going to be for next year and whether or not we need to employ additional teachers. Okay, so our teachers are never overworked. We ensure that they do have free periods to assist them with their lesson plans and that type of thing. And it's also in line with the amount of time that needs to be spent on each subject.
Royal King's School, it is a private institution, just so by the way, in case you're joining us right now. Private institution, they're based in Florida, have what, three schools?
Three branches.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
One is just open out in Krugersdorp, and you got two in Florida.
That's correct.
Both on Goldman.
Both on Goldman Street, yes.
Tell me the one in Krugersdorp, where's that?
It's on number 15 Market Street, Krugersdorp.
15 Market Street.
Yes.
I think I've seen that.
Yes.
I think I've seen that.
You might not have seen it, but we're not going to mention what you might have seen there. The only thing you need to be looking for is Royal King's School. Because we've got a competitor right opposite us. So
Another
that's
school.
why I'm making, yes.
Is
Royal King's School is the only school on number 15 on Market Street. Done.
Okay. But now let's then deal with this, you know what I mean,
Yes.
in terms of competitors and everything else. And we'll get to the fees possibly towards the end.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But when you guys look at it, as much as you're here to market Royal King's School competitively with all the other schools, I mean, for instance, within this area,
Yes.
there's about 3, 4, 5 schools within your vicinity.
Yes.
You know? I don't know, St. Catherine's is a private school. I think St. Catherine's is it?
Yeah, St. Catherine's.
Yeah, I think that's a private
I
school.
think they might be, they might be
I
private.
know growing up it was a private school. But in any case, but what I'm saying is, you know, there's already another private school around there, which is just an all-girls school. You guys are co-ed, yeah?
Yes, we co-ed.
When you look at everybody else, what really sets you guys apart?
Well,
you like?
that is our Royal King's difference.
Sure.
We offer education like any other school, but we offer education with possibilities. That is our motto.
Okay.
Our mission statement at Royal King's is that we inspire learners to excel and lead lives of integrity and involvement by nourishment, or rather by nourishing their talents in a community of teachers, friends, and families. Our core values, and this is also what makes us different, is that we demonstrate honesty, integrity, and respect. We learn with passion and perseverance, learn and teach.
Sure.
We embrace intellectual curiosity, care beyond ourselves, be that educators, support staff as well, and then we pass that on to our learners, our students. We take personal responsibility. It has to start from the higher level first and filter down. So we do staff workshops on this, where we train our staff to do this so that they can, rather than just teaching word of mouth, because that's what really irritated me when I was in school. You know, I'd hear my teacher teaching in class, and when I was too lazy to learn, or when I wouldn't be doing my homework, you should do your homework, and you what do you learn at home? They normally point me to my moral compass. Yet when we have to see them on weekends around in the community, it doesn't add up. And at us at Royal King's, we make sure that we lead by example.
Sure.
And that to me is very important. We train our staff. Once our staff is trained, we do this on a continual basis. Sure. Then we have them disciple and teach our kids. And that's how we go about at Royal King's.
That's Royal King's right there, man. I know you guys also have a pledge of service. You know, Katie, just give us a bit about that. Like, what is this whole pledge of service, and is it one that all staff members at Royal King's has got to take?
Yes, it is. Like I said, we lead by example.
Sure.
So we exclude no one, from our general workers, our admin staff, support staff, right up to our learners. So our pledge of service is that the management of Royal King School is committed to quality education. Take note, committed to quality education. We do not get that very often today. We undertake to educate, equip, and empower your child, which is our children, with skills, knowledge, aptitude as well as respect.
Sure.
We will uphold equality and integrity for all. We will ensure that our educators are qualified, experienced, passionate, very important. We ensure that they are passionate and skilled in what they do. We aim for our child to leave our institution intellectually as well as socially equipped and empowered with possibility, having the sense to take personal responsibility for their own lives. So that is our mission, our pledge of service.
That's your pledge of service right there. As a parent, you know,
Yes.
I know when my parents you know, applied for schools for me and my brother, we would be given the school's rule books and whatever it is and all of that, and you know, parents would have to read it and sign it.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
along with us and whatever it is, as sort of like our pledge to the schools.
Yes.
Do you guys have something similar in terms of that? Because I mean, you've got a pledge of service for the staff and everybody else that are involved at that. But in terms of parents, you know what I mean? Where are you guys with that one?
In terms of our learners, let's start there. We do have a learner's pledge of service.
Sure.
And in the beginning of the year, all our learners go through an induction. So they are given their school diaries, and right in front of their school diaries is our disciplinary code of conduct. And it needs to be signed off by the learner as well as the parent.
Sure.
So we try and involve parents as much as possible. We at RKS believes that our education system is a tripod. You've got your educators or your RKS staff, you've got your learners, and you've got your parents. And if you take away either one of that, that tripod is not going to function the way it needs to. So yes, and another thing that we've done is, because we are a private institution, we don't necessarily have to have a school governing body. But we have, at RKS, we have felt that there is a need for parents to be heard. Because we need to have interactive conversations. We pride ourselves on the relationships that we build, and we want our relationships to be rewarding and beneficial for all people involved in that tripod. So we've appointed our SGB. So there, once again, we're getting our parents involved, we're getting our learners involved, and we don't just want to. RKS does not belong to Angelique. It doesn't belong to Mr. Wandela. It doesn't belong to Mr. Kinia. It belongs to the community. It belongs to the learners. It belongs to the parents. And that is what, it speaks to our mission. It speaks to our pledge of service. It speaks to our motto.
Sure.
And honestly speaking, like Mr. Kinia said, everything is passed down. It's not just us speaking, but it is us actually going in and doing. It's something that needs to happen on a daily basis, and it never stops. The relationships that we have is vitally important to Royal King's School. It really is.
You actually just touched also on a question that we want to ask a bit later on in terms of parents' involvement, you know, within the school and all of that. Because a lot of times, you know, when speaking to teachers, they'll tell you that, my parents are not involved, you know, in this whole thing. I constantly need to beg and all these type of things and whatever it may be. You know, how's the parental involvement, you know, at RKS?
Because of the fact that we are relatively small, but we are still growing, we really try and create personal relationships and personal connections with parents. Parents come in and they have just general conversations with us, you know, that might not necessarily impact their children or refer to their kids, but it's important that we
For the
have
relationship. Yes.
you know, we need to build rapport. And like I said earlier, we've got these school diaries that we have, and we often communicate with parents through those diaries. We've got an SMS system that we communicate with our parents on. We've got a Facebook account that we allow parents to communicate with us. So we're really trying to be as visible and easily reach. We want to be reachable. We want to be accessible. To parents, whether that be a telephonic call. I mean, sometimes parents have got cell phone numbers to some of our educators. You know, so we really try to be as accessible as possible.
All right. I like this. A school that has a Facebook page.
Yes.
It's interesting. We're moving with the times. We're moving with the times.
Yes.
You have to be relevant.
Yeah. Can we just go back also, you know, just to your school structure? You guys have a board of trustees. And I mean, I guess being a private school and everything else, you're privately funded, you're privately run, and all those kind of things. The board of trustees, their role in this school, do they determine, in terms of which direction your disciplinary code takes, whether or not to wear uniform or not, if I can come to school with spikes in my hair and whatever maybe?
Yes. Yes, they are the decision makers at the end of the day. However, we've stipulated that they are open to suggestions. In the beginning of the year, we said, let's allow our kids to identify themselves, whether that be through a hairstyle or whatever the case may be. We're strict on uniform. Uniform needs to be worn. Yes. Uniform is very important, but we presentation is important. So the same as it is when I was at school, your nails weren't allowed to be long. You couldn't wear nail polish. So those basics are still there. We try not to constrict our learners because we know this generation is not what we were.
A very expressive generation.
So we try the allow them to express themselves and their individuality.
But within boundaries.
Within boundaries, it didn't work out. Whether they felt that because they were allowed to express themselves, those boundaries shouldn't exist. So we've just gone back and saying, forget it. No hairstyles, no dreadlocks, no colors, no nothing. We're stopping it. We're going back to the basics. Brush cut hairstyles. If you do have braids, you go back to your neutral colored braids. Yes.
No, wait. Hold on. You just mentioned locks right there.
Yes.
Now, can we now talk about, kind of bring in, your different cultures, religions, and all those kind of things and whatever it may be. Here's this young kid, comes from a Rasta family.
In that instance, also with regards to tying this up to the Department of Education and what they also allow and do not allow, we then require a letter or some sort of contact from the parents in writing.
Yes.
To let us know that this is part of their religion, it's part of their culture, whatever it may be. In that instance, we then permit locks as such.
All right. Now, what then happens in this instance that you're allowing the locks, and I turn around and I say, but in my home, I'm allowing this child to express himself however way. This is how we're raising this child. We're raising we're raising our child to be able to explore and express themselves however way they feel. So, if my young man wants to come to school wearing a skirt, that's him, because we allow him to do that, and I write a letter that motivates that. Are we not opening up,
Look at Royal King's School, we celebrate diversity.
Sure.
But I think that there are boundaries and guidelines to anything. It is not in the norm for a boy to come to school with a skirt, right? I haven't seen it. So now we need to have a look at the pros and cons.
Sure.
Yes, you're allowing this child to express themselves, but guess what? This child is going to be bullied and mocked. Now you need to look at the psychological damage that you are going to cause this child. I mean, kids are committing suicide because they are being bullied at school. Sure. We're not saying don't let the child express themselves or let their voices be heard, but let's try and accommodate yourself and the school, and let's make sure that the child's best interest is at heart. So those are I would say that it's a conversation that you need to have with a parent. When child is at home from 2:30, allow your child to wear that skirt. But this is RKS's rule, and we're not just protecting RKS, but we are protecting your child as well.
In this way, we are also preparing the child for the bigger world. Both myself and Ms. Turner comes from the corporate environment. Within the corporate environment, there are also specific guidelines that guides you on your dress code. A whole lot of them are becoming very lenient now, but even with the leniency, there are still some guidelines. And I believe that at RKS, we're preparing our kids for that environment as well. So be it in the engineering industry, be it in the banking, financial industry, there are these guidelines that our kids also, them being then adults, then have to adhere to. So we then nurture that while they're in our care, in our facility, at the age that they're at now. So yes, we allow them to express, but also we are preparing them for the future. So express within boundaries, I would say.
I have I don't know, I just have this I want to challenge that policy, you know, because where I am is I'm saying, okay, yes, school, before ever saying we're preparing these kids, you know, for after school and corporate life and whatever it is and all those kind of things. But when I look at it, and I'm sure, you know, we've all had these experiences, is that a lot of what you're taught in school in preparation for the big bad world out there really is out of touch. You know, and this is where I would say that I'd want to say to the Department of Education that, I mean, come on, you know, can we look at what is happening, you know, in the corporate world? We're not all walking around in ties and suits and everything else as sticklers. So why are you forcing this child to wear a tie and suit, a tie and a blazer at school? You know, we're not all walking in single files in our office.
Yes.
So why are you forcing us to do that? We're not all sitting in single file, you know, in rows and everything else in our offices. So why you gotta do that? So I think, you know, a bit of change and catching up, if I can put it that way, to the rest of the world. I think this is what the education system would need to do.
I think we also need to go back to the environment.
Sure.
In order for us to have a disciplined learning environment that is conducive to every single learner in that classroom, there are certain guidelines that you need to put in place. We aren't always the same. I mean, I'm an extroverted person. I'm just going to make an example. But there are times where I need to tune into my introvert because the situation or the environment calls for that. So maybe this is exactly what you are saying. Maybe and I think that we incorporate that in our teaching and our methods of teaching and our learning is we don't want to tell our kids what to think, but rather enable them to start thinking.
And guide their thinking out, I would say.
Okay, so I think, yes, let's have a conversation with that child that wants to wear the skirt. Let's equip them with some skill and knowledge and teach them when it is required for you to behave in a certain manner, or when it's okay. I don't want to say when it's okay or when it's allowed, you know, because no one should dictate to you when you are allowed to be yourself. But there are certain situations that call for certain types of behavior.
Read the situation, basically.
Exactly
Which is a skill that would need to be acquired in some way. Now that then leads me to this question: is in terms of life skills. I mean, I know right now in schools have got a subject called life orientation.
Life orientation.
So you've got life orientation and everything else, and as far as we know, they say, I mean, that is where they're kind of prepping, you know, our kids for after school and all those kind of things and everything else. But in terms of that, then once again, you know, are we giving our kids, you know, these cognitive skills? Are we giving kids, you know, skills to be able to read a situation and say, oh, okay, no, look, here I am with the board of trustees of the school.
Yes.
So therefore, for me to be talking yo and all those kind of things, now calm down, leave that language for when you're sitting with your friends. Let's communicate properly because the situation calls and reads for you to be such. You know, I'm at an award ceremony, school award ceremony, whatever it is, as the head of the students. I've been asked to come and say something else. How do I approach this whole type of thing and everything else? So for me, as you were saying, to be able to discern that, okay, fine, this situation requires for me to do this. I'm on the sports field, so therefore I can go crazy, whatever it is, but there are rules in terms of that.
With regards to that, myself having done substitute teaching, especially in the life skills department, I have found that the actual curriculum, there are some if with all respect due, there are some shortages that the curriculum doesn't cover, and therefore we employ the expertise of life coaches to come then to the school, and this is one of our new initiatives that we will be initiating. We putting initiatives or structure in place to employ the expertise of life coaches for next year, for the academic year, because we have realized, especially at RKS, Royal King School, that is, we have realized that this is a need. Whatever the life orientation curriculum does not cover, we then employ the techniques as well as expertise of a certified life coach to then come and, as an extramural activity, come and do that. For our senior phase learners, the FET learners, the grade 10 to 12 learners, we then do stuff like interview skills with them, communication skills, basic business writing skills. And I myself personally, I will be graduating next week as a qualified certified life coach. So I myself then will be one of those life coaches that will offer those services to the school. So,
and also, very importantly, learning does not only happen in the classroom. Our kids have just recently gone on a camp, so there's some skills that they've learned in that environment. And also we work hand in hand with a church in the Florida area, and they've taken our kids on, our learners, some we have identified have good leadership skills and that need to be developed, where they went out and they went cleaning the community on a Saturday. There were certain projects that they needed to do for that. So we've got an RCL as well, because we've identified that there are certain learners that excel in leadership, and we've identified them and we're allowing them to grow. So learning does not just happen in the classroom. And as Mr. Kinya said earlier, I don't want to say that we lead by example. We teach by example.
Teaching by example.
Yes.
We're loving that one, man. Just to kind of be on that one also, I hope you guys have, relationships. If not, maybe something that you guys can look forward to. But relationships with corporates, relationship with workplace areas and everything else. I can remember being in school and everything else. There's an assessment that we did in guidance. It was guidance. I'm showing my age. But anyway, there's an assessment that we did in guidance, which is life orientation right now. And it will come back and say, all right, cool, Pops, you must go look at a career in law. You must go look at a career in medicine. You must go look at a career in business and whatever it may be, and all those kind of things. Those come back and we apply to tertiary institutions based on that. Then you get to that tertiary institution. You're like,
This is not.
There are those that stick it out, graduate, get to the workplace, and ends up, no. So already 5 to 6, at times 10 years of a child's life or of a person's life is wasted in a career that they should not have gone into.
Yes.
But if you are then exposed to the law faculty, for instance, at a tertiary institution, or maybe even a law office of somebody, to go sit there for a week, a month, or whatever it may be, at school level, I can make informed choices.
Absolutely agreed. And that is the reason why we expose our kids. We've got our Royal College runs this career corner.
Sure.
And we are often invited to career expos. So you get there, and then there was one in Clearwater Mall this year. So there are different areas, careers, and law, medical, creative arts, all of that, filmmaking, and we take our kids to those expos, and they are exposed, because guess what? You don't know until you realize that you didn't know. So we try and expose our kids as much as possible, try and provide them and equip them with enough information for them to be able to make those informed decisions. So we do try and expose, and it normally happens during the switch of senior to FET phase, which is from grade 9 into grade 10. Yes.
Oh, well, it's lovely, because generally that's where you kind of have to choose your subject and your career path and all those kind of things and everything else.
However, still on that, throughout grade 11, 12, we still evaluate the learner, keep the relationship with them in case. When I was at high school, from grade 10 to 11 and 12, I changed my career choices like 10 million times, and now I've only found a while ago that I actually want to become a life coach, and I took steps into becoming that. So we always keep that relationship with our grade 11 and 12 learners on a regular basis. Keep that approach and access open, so that they can come to us, so we can go to them and evaluate. Are you still taking the necessary steps to end up where you'd like to end up? Because it's not about us. And way back when we were at school, we took career paths that looked to us as the best. We became a doctor because mom said you'll be successful when you're a doctor. We became a teacher because dad said only teachers are successful. All those pictures were painted to us. Now that we are more expressive, we allow our learners to then explore the avenues, and we build on that, and that's what we cultivate.
The thing about the education system, especially in this country, and I think it's been very much afraid of the change, very much afraid of being challenged and being exposed to new things and everything else like that. I've often just said that, it's probably run by dogmatic people. That this is how it is. It worked 40 years ago. Therefore, and I still do say today. I mean, you've got people that have made a success out of just being designers, fashion designers, and everything else. But you'll probably find that when you speak to them today, they'll tell you that they were discouraged of doing that in school because they were told that it's not a secure career or anything like that. Always look for a secure career and everything else. I remember us when we had to do our career choices and all of that. We were told, take maths and science; it'll open doors for you.
Yes.
Which door? But in any case, man, extramural activities at Workings. Please tell me you guys have extramural activities.
Of course we do.
We pride ourselves in extramural activities. That's one of the elements that makes us a school with a difference.
Sure.
Our extramural activities cover the likes of dance, swimming, athletics, aerobics, generic ball skills such as hockey, rugby, soccer, netball, even rounders and tennis.
Indigenous games.
Rounders.
They fall in indigenous under indigenous games. That's correct. Blikkies, if we can go to that, they actually fall. In your life orientation curriculum, specifically in grade 7, the curriculum covers indigenous games, where our learners are actually encouraged to go on, and this is an outdoor activity, outdoor lesson, where you actually have to go onto the field, and this is the lesson. You cannot complete the curriculum or pass the curriculum without evaluating the learner on the playground, practicing part of these indigenous games. So that's how we open up.
Yeah, we've got PE classes for all our learners. So physical education is very important. We've got hopscotch on our playground. Our facilities aren't equipped with all our sports fields.
Sure.
So at the moment we are using sports stadiums in the area, to facilitate these activities.
I mean, we don't have a swimming pool on our facility, yet we make use of a local swimming area that we've built a relationship with, have a contract with, so that we can offer our students swimming lessons, and that's part of our extramurals.
And what you just mentioned right there, I think it just highlighted something on me that clearly then the local municipality would need to come to play in terms of this one. That I mean, a school like yours that does not have all the facilities that you would love on ground. So within that community, if there's a sports ground or a sports facility, ensure that it is accessible to others. Because I mean, the last thing, and this has always just been one of the arguments and everything else, that the reason why we have discipline issues and our kids, being tempted to drugs and crime and everything else, is because after school they don't have anything else that keeps them busy, type of situation. Because I mean, the communities don't have these facilities that is open to them. So I guess it does speak at that I mean, to our councillors and everybody else that is involved in running the municipalities, you've got to ensure that these facilities are accessible.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, so with the extramural activities, all three of your branches do offer those.
Yes.
That is there, but how are you guys doing though in terms of results and everything else? Because there's one thing participating. And then there's another thing competing.
No, we have bragging rights, not just only in terms of our academics, and I have to go back there.
Yeah.
We had 100% pass rate. Okay.
Matric rate?
Yes.
Last year?
Yes.
Congratulations to you guys, huh?
And the year
Thank
previous
you.
to that as
And
well.
the year
Yeah?
previous to that, we were on 95%. Okay? Just missed it.
Yes,
So, and then also our kids participated in the High Stedford. And we actually won first place for our prose, which is a drama. So yes, we expose our kids and we show results. The proof is in the pudding. So come through to Royal King's School and you will see what we are speaking about. You will get to experience it.
I'd love to visit your school.
We've got our trophies on display, shining bright there.
Yeah.
So
Bright like
yes,
a diamond,
we show results. Yes, we do.
Because that's also another thing, which is a conversation that I know that our producers, they're busy just putting the final touches to, in terms of the balance between academics and sports. You know, it's one that if we are honest, if everybody is honest on this one, we have not been able to get right in the last 10, 15 years or so. And you are seeing the results of that in all our sporting codes and everything else.
Yes.
We haven't been able to get the balance proper between academics and sports and everything else. And at Royal Kings, it sounds like you guys have struck that balance.
Not quite yet. We just almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how we try and we try and get to that balance. Like you said, past 15, 20 years, it hasn't been able to.
We've fallen off. We've fallen off.
But at Royal Kings, we push to the limit.
Sure.
So that's what makes us a school with a difference.
Love it, man. Royal Kings School, as I say, school with a difference, or learning with a difference. Yeah, is what you guys.
No, education with possibilities.
Education with possibilities.
That is our motto.
Excuse me. Discipline. Yeah. This is a big one in terms of it's a big problem that our society faces.
Absolutely.
I am of the view that we as parents have gotten lazy. We as parents have passed the buck on over to the school and everything else. We expect teachers to discipline our kids when it should be the other way around, as a matter of fact. My child has got to go to school already knowing that you respect others. Respect is earned. Respect is, it's not a given that you are going to be respected and all those kind of things. My child has got to come to school knowing that you are going to subject yourself to authorities.
Yes.
You know, my child has got to come to school knowing that there's a set of rules and there's discipline code that you need to subject yourself to. And even me as a parent, when I bring my child to your school, I've got to know already that I allow my child to scream and run around the house, but not here because it's not allowed here and all those kind of things. How is the discipline at Royal Kings? And I mean, have you guys really had one of those, incidents that we are reading about right now in the news?
No, we haven't. No, we
Fortunate to you
haven't. And the reason for this is because safety and security of learners are of utmost importance to us. There's no way you are would be able to come to school in an environment where you fear.
Sure.
You cannot learn that way. And the unfortunate thing is now we need to take into consideration that it's not just safety and security for our learners, but that of our educators as well. So let's just start off by saying, in terms of safety and security, we do have 24-hour security on our premises.
Okay.
And that is to ensure that, no unwanted guests are coming in, no disturbances, violence, weapons, etc. is kept off the premises. We also want to ensure that kids are, because we dealing with little kids, we want to make sure that they are taken care of in the event of an accident.
Sure.
So we've got a trained fire warden and we've got 2 trained first aiders on premises all day long. Okay, and then in terms of our disciplinary code of conduct, as I mentioned earlier, learners are taken through an induction process, and that induction process outlines the rules, the regulations, and the consequences thereof. I think we actually had a conversation earlier this morning where we said kids are being taught about their rights but not the responsibility thereof.
Thank you.
Mr. Kinnear was saying that, and I think it's an eye-opener to us as Royal Kings, as Royal Kings School, as educators, as staff members, but also now we need to engage parents. Let's start educating our kids about these things as well.
So at Royal Kings, what we have done so far and what we're planning to do. Let's start with what we have done. We have then involved our parents to a great extent to assist us. Should you, and I'm of the kind, being involved in ministry, very active in communities such as Bella Vista, El Dorado Park, and the likes, being very involved in part of that community work, had a great part of it had to do with getting into the schools to assist. When you look at schools in El Dorado Park, not to mention any names, there is a great challenge with discipline. What we have at Royal Kings has done to assist us in the discipline of the learner holistically, we've involved the parent. We pride ourselves in relationships. We build a strong relationship with the parent so that at any time, should the parent have a challenge in the home, and therefore the parent themselves has got has access to the cell phone numbers of the educators at school. Should the parent have a discrepancy or some challenge with discipline at home, when you get to a teenage time, I tended to get out of line now and then. What assists us in keeping our student in check is that there's a relationship between the parent and the educator, as well as other staff of Royal Kings, so that we can then have the same level of discipline or and understanding, so that there wouldn't be one level of discipline at home and us then not incorporate the same level of discipline at school. So the relationship with our parents helps us. What we are looking at and what we're going to engage in for the coming year is relationship, like I said, with the likes of life coaches that will come in and assist our kids in building skills, leadership skills. We've got a whole lot of leadership projects that we're going to engage and embark on next year and years following that are going to assist our kids in taking personal responsibility. When the kid is out of the care of the parent, as much as the parent has taught that kid the basics, it's up to the kid, especially your teenager, to take what has been learned from home and then apply it, be that at school. Once the teenager leaves the premises of the school and is not yet at home, where is that kid?
Truth.
So we in the relationship that we have with the parents, we then try and build or help our student build some skills that will keep them even outside of the premises or the supervision of the teacher as well as the parent.
And look, we also do have a disciplinary committee. We have to become very creative with methods of discipline. And one of the things that we're currently using is a disciplinary journal.
Okay.
So anything and everything that is done is basically jotted down, and you are building a CV. And that CV goes with you wherever you go. But some of the questions that they ask in that journal is, what rule have I broken?
Okay.
So now you are responsible to actually sit down and think what you have done wrong and why you think it was wrong and what you are going to do to correct your behavior.
Yeah.
So we are giving them the responsibility of ensuring that they fix up their behavior. They need to be accountable. You need to hold them accountable.
Sure.
It's so important.
Going back to that whole thing of, yes, you have your rights, but the responsibilities that come with those rights as well is this. You also mentioned something about bullying earlier on, just talking about, that child coming to school with a skirt and everything. Bullying is a big thing, and it's now just moved from, the physical and everything else to social media and all of that. And we know our kids today, as much as I personally have an issue with that, our kids today are exposed to social media.
Yes.
What are we doing as a school, to educate our kids about the whole bullying and the consequences of all that, but then also to intervene in those situations?
In my personal opinion, I think that you would pick on someone or bully someone when you don't understand something about them. So whether that be that boy learner coming to school with a skirt, do you understand why? So it goes back to life skills, exposing kids to certain things and getting them to understand, and then also learning to accept people. You know, because when they see that something is odd, there's an issue of acceptance. And we also try and instill in them that we need to respect each other.
Sure.
At the end of the day, all of us are human, and everybody deserves to be treated with respect and equality. We have major concerns when it comes to bullying. We keep an eye out for that as much as possible, and that's the reason why we also evaluate behavior in the classroom and interaction. We also have our educators that are present on the playground, break times, to have a look out for bullying, and also to see whether or not any learner is withdrawn. If we do pick that up, we get in contact with the parent. Is the child afraid to come to school? Why? What's happening? Are you having these conversations? Can we have these conversations with the learner? And I'm not going to say that we haven't had issues of bullying, but there hasn't been any major or severe cases of bullying, and we've always managed to identify it and sort of rectify the situation.
What also is going to be assisting us in going forward is that we are going to conduct workshops as well as road shows where the likes of external stakeholders, there's a good few that we are busy establishing relationships with that I was able to use when I was in the government schools that I'm bringing with me now. I've only been back with Royals for a week now, that I'm bringing with me to Royals, so that these workshops and presentations can be conducted with our learners and to our learners. We are also going to roll out parent workshops, going back to our discipline. We are also going to roll out parenting workshops, effective parenting workshops and presentations on that, so that we can get the tripod working together on issues of bullying, on issues of discipline, and so on and so forth.
I'm tempted to to throw in this question.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually
Give in to your temptation.
I'm gonna do that. August, Women's Month.
Yes.
Right. And the one thing that we're trying to get to in this country is parity among the sexes. You know, sexual equality and all those kind of things and everything else. I honestly don't think that we are there. I honestly think that we're not doing enough. You know, to dispel, you know, all those imparities that is there and everything else. I still do think that we're living in a very sexist society. You know, it's a patriarchal society and all those kind of things. I mean, hey, we look at it, everything around us is patriarchy. You know, it reeks of patriarchy and everything else. But, you know, as royal kings, you know, where are you guys on that one right there, you know, in terms of ensuring that young girls and young boys in your school understand that just because you are male, it does not mean that you are better than her, you know. And just because it is August and we say it is Women's Month, it does not, you know, inherently mean that you now get treated special during August and whatever it may be. What is Royal Kings doing, you know, to ensure that we have that parity among the sexes?
I think it goes back to educating our kids. You know, I had the opportunity to actually sit in one of the classes where they were addressing sexuality.
Sure.
You know, and you'd be amazed at, this was a grade 8 class. They are very knowledgeable. And thanks to social media, our kids, let's face it, there's not just negatives to social media.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pros to it.
Sure.
And a simple example of one of those pros is a video that they have where they said, run like a girl. You know, it's a little girl and they say run like a girl, and they say to the boys as well. And one girl just gets out there on that track and she runs. So it's not something that you can teach when the child is in grade 10. You've lost it. So it needs to start from a young age, and that's the reason why we're saying let's expose our kids to everything, and let's not say, because, and I mean our grade R races are not just where we have our girls running against the girls, we have our girls running against our boys.
Sure.
So we're challenging them in that. Our relay, for example, we've got a combination of boys and girls running the relay. So that we need to get them involved and expose them to the fact that, and it goes back to our motto, education with possibilities. Regardless of who you are, where you come from, you are able.
Sure.
So it's creating that mindset.
I mean, I just also, another one that just came to mind right now is the recent incident with Serena Williams. You know, and what she's been fighting for all along. And all those kind of things that, I mean, can female tennis players be paid the same as male tennis players and all those kind of things, you know, regardless of the situation. So the other thing as well, you know, I've often just said this, and this takes me back to when I was in school, is the cleaning would always just be left to the girls. No,
Yes.
like, so
Yes.
No,
we'd be
you're
told-
right.
we'd
No,
be
you're
told,
right.
you guys pick up the desks, move them out the way because they are heavy, right? And the girls will sweep and do whatever it is and pick
Yes.
up papers. Okay, fine. So that's the mentality that we grow up with.
Yes.
I go back home and I'm told that no, don't clean. Your sister will clean.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or we'll go fetch your cousin to come and clean the house. Oh, okay. So this is what I do.
Yes.
You understand? So I sit back. You know, I eat and I leave my plate there because I'm told that no, but your cousin or somebody's gonna come and pick up your plate.
Yes.
And here I am. I grow up being this entitled brat of a boy. You know, I'm expecting everybody to pick up around me,
Yes.
all males and all females and everything else. Life shock. I get to a boardroom. Angelique is running this company. I gotta report to her. Now I'm gonna have issues with her
Yes.
because where I come from, she has to submit to me. You know, so it's that kind of thing. So I guess that is why, you know, I'm asking, and I'm kind of just hopping on this question. I mean, what are we doing in schools? These kids are there. What, you have them 6, 7, 8 hours in a day?
In schools, we cannot completely answer that. In
Yes.
Royal Kings, like we said, we teach by example. In management, you will find on our management board, we have not only employed males in prominent roles, but that are females as well. We have found in our management structure that the contribution from males and females and having that balance really helps us in maintaining this, in providing an example for this, an exposure to our young learners for this. For our younger learners, we teach them by the book. And this helps. You get them when you get them when they're young. You'll have them when they're old. My baby, 4 years old, she comes home and she'll tell us, "My teacher said." Whatever we tell her, no, my teacher did not say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with the younger ones, you can teach them in your class the way we taught them, and that helps with gender equality. With your older ones, you got to be more strategic. That's in your high school. You got to be more strategic. So that, therefore, our relationship with external stakeholders, presentations by external stakeholders, this really helps. Presentations on the subject, workshops on the subject, seminars on the subject. You'll find that these methods really captivates our older learners, and they are able to learn there through. So we've got no one standard method that we employ and or deploy toward our learners. We have to catch them where they are. So for our younger learners, we'll teach a set and they'll take that. For our older learners, we've got the workshops, and the relationship also helps, where they also are able to see. But then we've got a male director, yet alongside him is a female, and both of them have is able to make decisions that affects the school and so on. So that's how we're able to educate our learners on this.
Here's the other question that nobody ever wants to get into. Religion in schools. Yes, we're a very diverse society.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
a diverse country and all those kind of things and whatever it may be. You know, and there's one thing that our chairman always just kind of, he's not shy about it. He says that we should not be shy about it. As an organization, K Media Group, I mean, we're not shy about our faith in terms of, you know, who we serve and who we submit to as an organization.
Yes.
Now, I go home and here it is. I teach my child that before every meal, you've got to say grace. Bedtime, you have to say your prayers. You wake up in the morning, you got to say your prayers and all those kind of things. You know what I mean? This is us. You know, we are unapologetically Christian in this house. They get to school and it's, no, eat. Don't worry, because we are here.
Yes.
And as I say, once again, as a school, you have this child for 6 to 7 to 8 hours in a day, 5 days a week. So at some point, there's going to be a clash in terms of ideologies and all those kind of things. And hence now we're sitting in a situation where the higher parts of government and everything else, they just decided, I don't know why, but let's take religion out of schools, especially your Christian schools. You know what I mean? Let's take that out of schools, so that we are inclusive. But I mean, you go to any other school. I mean, an Islamic school, they're unapologetic about that whole thing. You go to a Jewish school, they're unapologetic about that whole thing.
Yes.
So why we gotta be that?
We are not a Christian school in particular.
Sure.
We are a secular school. However, because going back to what we said and our motto and all, our mission statement, we build the child holistically. Our relationship with our parents assists us in being able to treat each and educate and be there for our students or our learners and treat them like an individual. We've got a relationship with our Islamic parents, so we can then take care of our Islamic kids. At Royal King School, we do encourage you to express your faith. For the Christian kid, we allow you then to say your grace. Like I said, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to principle, we want to continue the principle, and that is why we deem the relationship with the parents so important. We want to continue the principle that is taught at home. Pray before your meals, pray before you sleep, for our grade R kids before they sleep and so on. Pray when you get up. So our relationship with our parents assists us in carrying that over even when on our school premises. So therefore we allow our students then to express their faith, be it Islam, how you would express your faith from your home. You are also allowed to do that at school. Yet we teach them respect for all religions. We respect for all cultures and traditions. The reason why that boy has got long hair, my grade 1 or 2 kid would ask, why does Sipho have long hair? Is it not only girls that are supposed to carry long hair? No. In Sipho's culture, and then we educate on culture, we educate on different religions, and you be true to your religion, but also be free and open to learn in other religions.
September is Heritage Month. September is Heritage Month.
I'll be Indian this year.
Wow.
I'll go Nigerian this year. We said we are extremely diverse schools.
So nice, yeah. But I asked that from a different point of view, and I say that, you know what I mean, as a school, there's a heritage that you guys are obviously trying to impart, you know, on the kids and everything else. There's a culture that the school stands for, you know, and traditions. I'm not so much, you know, all about traditional and everything else, but I mean, there's a but from a cultural point of view, in closing, you know, what are those cultural, or rather, let me just put it this way, you know, what kind of heritage are you guys trying to pass down to these kids? And, you know, when they leave Royal Kings, for them to be identified as RKS products.
I think it goes back to our pledge of service. I love the fact that everything we do works hand in hand with the next thing. It speaks to our mission, it speaks to our vision, it speaks to our motto. And it is about respect, it's about community, it's about relationships, it's about my abilities and excelling above that. And just being a product of RKS is the fact that you're going to leave our school being equipped and enabled, not just intellectually, but socially as well, and to be socially aware and accept, like, it's really to leave RKS a well-rounded individual.
Sure.
And we do practice the culture of diversity. Diversity is our culture. So we do allow learners, and like we said, we teach by example. So we practice. I mean, in our employment, we've got a variety of cultures employed as educators and cleaning staff, or general workers, that is, reception staff. There's a variety of creeds, cultures, traditions, so that we can us as staff, we can then learn from each other and then teach our kids.
Let's talk money. Let's talk fees. What's the fee structure at RKS?
Okay, so we've got different fee structures.
I must expect myself. I must prepare myself for like high prices here.
No, not at all. We've done some market research, and we find, I'm not going to say that we are the cheapest, but we offer market related fees. So I'm just going to give you the brackets in which we are. Royal King's Krugersdorp has a different fee structure purely because they are brand new and they are still establishing themselves. So I'm not going to go into detail with regard to their fees. But looking at RKS Florida, you're looking at between 1,200 Rand per month, yes, up to 1,820 Rand.
And this is a private school with extracurricular activities, regular excursions and camps and leadership projects that we will be offering, and the likes. So I would say
1,200 a month.
A month, yes.
Per month. So you're looking at between grade R up to grade 12. So they will vary in prices as you go.
So I'm looking at about 14K a year.
Yes.
Tell me, 1,002 a month. Hold on. What am I getting?
Okay. So you've got quality education, where educators are teaching with purpose. You get your safety and security features. You get your remedial classes. Look, it depends on, in terms of the intervention that we need to take. You might need to pay for extra lessons, but that depends on what it is for. But our remedial classes are free of charge. We do offer aftercare facilities, but that comes at an additional cost. Yes.
Still a low cost.
What's the cost there?
You're looking at about 500 Rand per month, and that is from after school till about 6, because that's when most parents get home. Kiddies are assisted with homework.
There's a snack that's offered.
We don't do all the homework because we want parents to become involved in that. Yes, it is so important that parents become involved.
Do all the maths.
No. You must assist. And then we do offer a pre-packed snack.
Sure.
Yes.
So 1,700 Rand a month, and I say 1,700 Rand a month, in terms of you've got those parents that, I knock off at 4, but I only just do get home at 6 and whatever it may be, and all those kind of things. Tell me something. If it does happen, that I get there after 6, what's the situation?
There's a bit of a penalty for you.
Traffic,
there will be a bit of a penalty for you.
No traffic.
No.
Seriously, I work in Randburg, I work in Midrand. Traffic.
Look,
Come
we
on now.
haven't had, our aftercare used to be from after school till 5. We picked up that a lot of our parents got there really late, so we moved it to 6. The aftercare teacher will stay there up until the time that she can, but we do have our security that is always there, and our caretakers who lock up the school. So we're not going to just leave your kiddie stranded there.
Sure.
We do communicate. Look, this is the situation you're going to find your child with so and so type of thing. But yes, you will be charged a penalty fee.
Holidays. What do we do then? Because with some parents, both parents are working during school holidays and that kind of thing. Do you guys have holiday activities and programs?
We don't necessarily have holiday programs in place, but some of our learners are required to come to school as part of our intervention programs for extra lessons and that type of thing, if we feel that we've covered whatever needed to be covered in the curriculum, but the understanding wasn't there. So we say, okay, come in for extra classes. Let's go through this again. Let's make sure that, we're on the same level.
Sure.
Yes.
Applications for next year, when are they open, and what do you need from me as a parent if I want to bring my child to
Okay.
school?
What I would suggest is that parents either contact us directly or go onto our website, because it's quite a bit of information. So they can load an online application on our website, which is www.royalkingschool.co.za. Parents are more than welcome to contact us on our landline, which is 011 672 0355. We also have a WhatsApp line, which is 076 110 9783. We are always available. We're available working hours. The cell phone is available on weekends as well. The WhatsApp number. Yes, I think that's the best way of contacting us. And then also just for the Krugersdorp branch, their telephone number is 010 1404 942. Also on our website, parents are able to conversate with us. So we do have an online chat room.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. No, man, that is great. That is great. When do applications for next year open or close?
They are currently open. And I'm just going to give parents a reminder that in the month of June already, the department had communicated that they had no place for kids. Okay, so if you are still looking for a place, know that we... Look at the face. Know that we are still accepting admissions, and we'll be accepting admissions till about November this year. We also do have an open day that will be coming up towards the end of October. We're just trying to finalize dates and that type of thing to see when it would be most convenient for parents, because we understand that parents are working. But that information can be seen on our website as well as our Facebook page.
That's just what it is, man. Angelique, Ainsley, guys, thank you so very much. I see why they've got you marketing. I see why they got you guys marketing this school. Royal Kings School, 3 branches. They got their Royal Kings School in Florida on Goldman, Royal Kings College, which is their high school, that is still also on Goldman, and then there's a branch that's just opened out in Krugersdorp. Go and find it, 15 Market Street. Their contact details, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this up on our Facebook page as well, so do get it, Real K Radio. Alternatively, also you'll get it on our social media pages as well. We're gonna share this right there, guys. Appreciate you guys so
Okay,
very
so
much.
I heard you mention earlier that you have a 7-year-old child.
Yeah.
Okay, so will I be seeing you?
I need to go have discussions. if you guys have ballet for Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
If you guys got ballet at the school, then she'll definitely come.
We'll talk.
That's her requirement. Like that's just where.
Just ballet. Okay.
Do
We'll
they have
talk.
ballet at the school? If they have ballet, then the next one is do they have netball? Then we sort it.
Okay. Cool.
Then we're sorted.
We'll talk.
Alright, cool, man.
Pops,
Royal
thank
Kings
you
School.
so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
guys,
having
man.
us.
Hey, it's the back room, man. Right here on K Radio, Radio for the People. The open book. It is always so riveting. Love the conversation that we do have right here. Do stay tuned. Yeah.
The Open Book, giving you the truth and solutions only on K Radio.
Staring at 2 different views on you.